Now, when you think Nigerian music, you think afrobeat, right? Not surprising because it has achieved remarkable global popularity. But the same cannot be said for African classical music, where opportunities for artists are limited and their chances of performing are slim. In an effort to change this, the Vesta Orchestra and Opera Foundation, a homegrown initiative, is dedicated to revitalizing classical music in Nigeria. Olisa Chukwumah has more from Lagos.
It's the last day of rehearsals before their big night. Members of the Vesta Orchestra and Opera Foundation are performing at the finale of the Afri Classical Concert Series in Lagos. Violinist Rosalind Aninye set up the foundation in 2016 to promote music by African classical composers and showcase African talent.
Every culture has their own classical music. And with this orchestra and with the foundation, we set out to discover our own classical music because we're such a musical people, Africans. And for contemporary composers, you also have those who have been composing but have no orchestras to perform them. And so we take it upon ourselves to do that.
Classical music in Nigeria has its roots in the colonial era, and it is part of the music curriculum. But it struggles to get heard above the sounds of modern pop or Nigeria's famous afrobeat. It's a real challenge for young talent.
The major issue is what next? What next, in fact, in terms of, am I going to be playing or am I going to find something else to do? This is the major issue we have in the country. It's what goes into a lot of people's mind. That's why you can see a lot of classical musicians then go get jobs, go find something else just to survive.
The Vesta Foundation wants to fix that by providing a stage and opportunities. The highlight of this season is a performance of Ewa Jamese by Nigerian composer Seun Owaje. It's part of an opera sung in the Yoruba language that tells the tale of a soldier who's told off for his failure to cook a tasty meal of beans, a Nigerian staple. The music might have its roots in Europe, but did the choice of language and the subject matter help Nigerians connect?
I think that as a country we're evolving, and I think people can really get into this because Afrobeats is to the world, so this can also be to the world.
The Vesta Orchestra and Opera Foundation has more concerts planned from October. It wants to bring more Afro-classical music to the wider public. Founder Rosalind Aninye says their main goal is to establish a Lagos Opera House for classical works of African heritage.
A round of applause for the Vesta Orchestra there, and a very special round of applause for its founder, Rosalind Aninye, who joins me now. You're about to see her. There she is. Hello, Rosalind. Welcome to the program. So, you're on a mission to promote music by African classical composers. Why is that so important?
Because in Africa, we have a lot of music. Beautiful music, not just Afrobeats and high life. We also have folks music and art music. And I think it's important that some of us, promote this sort of music to show what manner of variety, if you like, there exists in musical genre on the continent.
But as you said, we're not talking about Afro-pop or high life or hip life or Afrobeats, but classical music in Africa. Is it really our cup of tea?
Yeah, Well, I believe the good life is our cup of tea. We enjoy good things, and why not also the expression of our people in a way never heard before, in an art form, in a very formal form, if you like, you know, presented in a way that we've never presented our music before, seriously, but at the same time telling a story, which is the art part of the expression, you know, and it's something that has been very well received by our audiences.
Classical music is known to have its origins from the Western world. So, what really is African classical music?
Like the name says, it's classical music by African composers, and so you will have it in an African idiom. And when you hear it, immediately you pick it and you say, aha, this isn't typically European. The expression is different, which is needed. All cultures all over the world have their own form of art music. And it sounds similar to classical music, but it is not quite classical music. And I thought it will be important for the world to hear what comes out of Africa. Very soon we hope to move around the continent as soon as we have settled in Nigeria properly, so to speak, when we've established quite a catalogue of composers. We will start to ask other African countries and composers for theirs.
I mean, look, anytime one is trying to throw the spotlight on, for in this case, a genre of music that is not very popular, there are obviously challenges. Can you tell us some of the main ones?
Yes. Well, the biggest one, of course, is funding, because art and culture isn't funded here in my part of the country, or my part of the world, Nigeria. And so we have to look for sponsorship to run our programs. We haven't found any, but we keep running our programs anyhow on our own. It's been very tough moving it forward and spreading the word, because we're not able to put certain things together with PR and marketing and all of that tedious stuff that costs. But we keep working, and we keep attracting the right talent and the right composers. And with time, we believe it'll all come together.
I like your optimism. One of your aims for Afri-classical music is to found an opera house in Lagos, Nigeria. How would that be different from existing institutions on the continent?
Well, in West Africa, we don't have an opera house. In Nigeria, for instance, we have a national theatre, we have Terra Culture, where we started performing our Afri-classical concert series, and you have the Musical Society of Nigeria. They have stages, but you don't have anything that is dedicated, that is built specifically for the performance of classical music and opera. And so it's very difficult to perform these. Although the scores exist, the music exists, the works exist, but we don't have the stage for this. There isn't the technology. We have very small stages. We perform now at the Mike Adenuga Center at the Alliance Française, and it's all very similar, that the stages are quite small. And so with an opera house, we're looking at including the entire community, really, because an opera house is owned by a community of people. And this is the goal, is to bring people in on the vision of understanding that our music is a lot more than what we see now. There's a lot more expression for the African.
Couldn't have said that better. Rosalind Anie, Vesta Orchestra founder. Thank you and all the best.